But it's crazy that the day that we live in our society and everything, like, people are so quick to be like, that's none of my business. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, something looks wrong with him, but I'm not going to do nothing about it. Like, that shit's crazy to me. But it's not even just in this case. Like, our society does that with everybody. People could be out on the street fighting, getting jumped, whatever, and people still just sit there and pull out their camera. Oh, I'm going to record this. You know? Or, you know, something's going on with whatever. You see something, and you're so bound to pick up a phone and try to record it rather than trying to go help and calm the situation. People are so like, that's none of my business. I need to mind myself and da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, you never do. You're all up in everybody else's business through a fucking screen. But when it comes to actual real life, you step back and like, oh, I'm just going to record. Oh, it's none of my business, but I'm going to have it on business. If it's none of your business, walk the fuck away. Like, but no, you want to get clout or post it so everybody can see it. Like, but it's none of your business. Think about that. Think about that shit, because this is our society these days, and this is why the world is so fucked up. Everybody talks about, like, where's the love? We need peace. We need this. We need that. But don't do nothing about it. Words ain't shit. We learned that a long time ago. Words do not mean anything. You can say and say and say, but unless you do something about it, it doesn't matter.
How you feeling? Ooh, child. Tired of the bullshit. Gone, dust your shoulders off. Keep it moving. Yes, Lord. Trying to get some new shit in there. Swimwear, going to the pool shit. Come now, come dry your eyes. You know you a star, you can touch the sky. I know that it's hard, but you have to try.
What's up, yo? It's Nessa Baby back in this ish. Like, what's good? So today we're coming at you with a little different video than what I've been posting. We're coming out with you with the sit down video and my thoughts and feelings on the whole Gabriel Fernandez case and that whole situation. So when the case first happened, like when it was going on, like way back, like then I was following it, but I wasn't like crazy following it, but like it like still was like heartbreaking. When they came out with the Netflix series, that's when I was kind of like, okay, I need to watch this. So when I watched it, like, it was so hard to get through like the whole series of it, because it's so heartbreaking and like so many feelings, questions, and everything like come to mind. Like, I was in tears watching it, like literally crying, and I was just like, fuck, like I need to make a video on this because it's just not okay. Like, and then to know, like, even at the end, like, it wasn't even just him. Like, it happens on an everyday basis. But, you know, like, there was another kid that they showed, I believe it was Anthony, and then there was another kid that I've been seeing lately, Noah, or I believe was his name, that like passed away or whatever. So I want to give like a moment of silence to little babies that passed away due to like not even just these three that we know about, but like everybody that's passed away and, you know, has endured a lot of pain at such a young age. And, you know, a pain at any age though is never okay. So I want to give that. We're going to start by doing that. So So now that we did that, you'll see me look down a lot because I have like notes like all up in my phone or whatever that I was just gonna like keep once I was gonna talk about. Those of you that don't know like what the Gabriel Fernandez series is about or whatever, it's about a little boy that was like basically tortured his pretty much most of his life and got killed by his mom and his mom's boyfriend. So my thoughts on this whole thing is I'm at loss for words, like, of the outcome, the way it happened, the people that took part in it and didn't do nothing, the system, everybody who knew about it and was a part of his life and still didn't do anything. Like, you know, like, it's crazy to watch the series because so many people knew, like, people in his family knew, his teacher knew, people outside, like, just them going in public seeing it and didn't do nothing. Like, it's just crazy that that's what our society has come to, and it just keeps getting worse by like the minute. If somebody was to step in and actually do something about it, he would still be here. And it's fucked up to say that our system and everybody else in this world failed him. So many people could have done something. Could have done something, but nothing was happened. Like, they didn't do nothing. Like, so we'll start out with the teacher, okay? So this little boy was coming to school every day. She noticed a change in him. She's seen the bruises. She's seen everything. She would ask him questions, and he would tell her, like, oh, is it normal, like, for my mom to hit me with the vocal part of the belt, or, you know, like, stuff like that. So she like, did her job, made the reports to Child Protective Services. He kept coming back, and each time he came back, it got worse. He would go weeks with missing school and then show up, and he would be, like, all bruised up, black eyes, like, you could tell he was beaten. And she kept saying, like, you could tell, like, that was the end of it. Like, he was healing, like, his body was healing. So can you imagine what it was at the beginning of the week when he got beat? So why would you let him go home? Like, that did not make any sense to me. Like, obviously calling Child Protective Services didn't do anything. They kept showing up to the home, and then he would go missing for a week or two or whatever because he'd be so beat from her coming to the thing. But obviously they weren't doing their job and taking him out. So why would you let him go home? Like, I wouldn't even let him go on the bus. I got in trouble or not. Like, I would pick his ass up, take him to the doctor, show them, like, you know, boom. That's all it took, was him getting to a doctor so the doctor can see all the bruises and everything and all the past injuries that he had and everything else for him to get taken. Okay? So for one, she did her job, but she could have done more. She could have saved this kid's life. Like, social workers, okay? I don't even know, like, why you call yourself a social worker if you're not even fucking doing your job. Like, honest to God. And I want to say they got charged, too, for this. And praise the Lord that happened, because this like, is appalled to me. Like, you let this little boy basically die when you could have done something about it. Like, I'm so irritated. Like, I'm, like, shaking right now because I'm, like, mad. So the social workers, like, yeah, you go to the house, you take notes, like, you do all that. Basically, you're doing your job. But not once did the social workers ask to see the kid. Not once did they check the kid to make sure there was nothing on him. Because if they did that, they would know. But in reality, the mom, the abuser, kept giving her stories like, oh, he's fine, he did this, he fell off the bike, he got beat up by the kids in the neighborhood, they lived in a bad neighborhood, so, like, it's bound to happen. Calls repetitively, like, and not do nothing, and have different social workers, or the same social worker, whatever the fuck it was. Man, like, that drives me nuts. Like, you're gonna listen to a mother who's good with her words because of what she's doing to her son. And most people are. Of course they're going to try everything they can to cover it up. So of course they're going to hide the kid and turn around and not, you know what I mean? Like, and then, that shit's crazy to me. Like, as a social worker, you're not just supposed to come in there and listen to the mom and what she has to say. You're supposed to search around and, you know, look at the scene and suspect if something's going on. You're supposed to look at the child to see if any marks and bruises. Like, I'm not even a social worker and I know that. Like, granted, like, oh man, it's like, it's crazy to me, like, that somebody could just go in there and listen to a mother's words and listen to her or whatever. Like, it honestly makes me think that there was more behind it. Like, it's crazy to me, like, that the social workers just let that happen. Like, oh man. But along with the social workers, like, this is where the system fails. Like, when it comes to kids and, you know, like, children in general, a lot of them get taken away in situations that they don't even need to get taken away, because some social workers suspect, you know, like, something's going on, so they pull them. And then we have kids that are actually going through it and they don't get nothing. They get a social worker that don't give a fuck. Like, oh no. That doesn't even make sense to me. But I'm not saying all social workers are bad, because I know some social workers do their job, and I know, you know, but like, for this to happen, you know, like, and it wasn't even just one time, like, it kept happening. But you would think, like, as a social worker, or as a person, not even a social worker, but as a person in general, like, if, you know, you're getting calls back to the house over and over and over again by the same person, which was the teacher, why wouldn't you investigate it more? Why wouldn't you take the kid to a doctor? Why wouldn't you pull the kid out and be like, okay, we're going to suspect him? Why wouldn't you even just look at the fucking kid? Like, oh man, like this shit, oh, it drives me fucking absolutely insane. This shit's crazy to me. The worst part about it is because if she talked to Gabriel, I'm pretty sure he would have told her what was going on, because he would tell the teacher, he would tell the family, he would tell everybody. Like, when they started asking questions, he was honest. Like, yeah, my mom, you know, beats me. They hide me in this thing. Like, oh, they hit me with this. My mom punched me in the face. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever it was he was going through at the time, like, he was honest and told somebody. But the fact that this kid was honest, told somebody, had proof, and still nobody did nothing about it, like, drives me absolutely insane. Because I just don't know how a human being can live with themselves and knowing that they could have done something more to help this kid and didn't fucking do it. So most kids, or most children, are so scared of what's going to happen and the outcome and everything else because they're already getting beat. So most of the time they don't say nothing. They go along with what their abuser says happened, or their parents, whoever it is, you know what I mean? But this kid was brave enough to stand up, speak his mind, and tell you what was going on. And still, you don't do nothing but call Child Protective Services. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. Like, yeah, you're doing a job. Maybe like the first time or the second time, yeah, I'm gonna call, you know. But then the third, the fourth, when Child Protective Services isn't even answering you, doesn't return your phone calls, doesn't do nothing, why wouldn't you take it in your hands to do more? Because the mom looks scary, because the boyfriend looks scary, because you don't want no problems. But I'm sorry. Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care what they look like. I don't care how scary they look. I don't care about anything. If this child is in my care at that moment and nobody's doing nothing to help him, after he's told you specifically, you've seen the evidence, you've seen the proof of what he's saying, and you just let him go home? I would never in my life ever let a kid do that. Okay, so let's go to, I think it was DCFS or something like that. So the mom, the brothers, and the little boy, Gabriel, had went out, you know, to child welfare or whatever the place was. And, you know, the security guard that was working there had noticed all the marks and everything, and obviously got the gut instinct that something was wrong and they needed to be helped. So he goes to one of the employees that was working there and tells him, like, yo, like, do you see this kid? He needs help, blah, 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 whatever. Like, tells him the situation. And she goes and calls her boss. And you know what her boss tells her? Oh, we can't pay overtime, so we can't do nothing about it. It's not our job. Are you kidding me right now? You're more worried about paying overtime, like, than helping this poor child out? Like, that right there fucking blew my mind, for one. For two, all the employee had to say was, okay, well, you don't have to pay me for it. I'll just do it on my own time. But the fact that it didn't stop there. The moment the security guard still felt he needed to do something, he called his boss and told him the situation, told him that they weren't doing nothing about it. And his boss even said, oh, it's none of our business. You don't get paid for that. Like, I forgot exactly what his words were, but like, why do you want to help if that's not your job description or something like that? And he was like, he was shocked, like, that his boss would say that. But he was the person that didn't let it go. He called, but again, nothing was done about it. Okay, so that was that. Shout out to the security guard who thought something was going on, and him. I praise him for doing that because not too many people will. Okay, DCFS, you got fucking issues, bro. Like, you need help. As a human being, how could you watch that? And I know I said that a lot in this video, and it's gonna keep coming up because as a human being, how could that happen? But if that was your kid, or your brother, your sister, your niece, your nephew, and you didn't know it was going on, wouldn't you want somebody else to do it? Like, come on now, bro. Like, you gotta put yourself in this situation. Like, if it was somebody you knew, you would do everything for it to try to help him. Make sure it wasn't happening again. But because it's a stranger, you turn your cheek, close your eyes. It doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. I don't know how people can live with themselves when they know they didn't do nothing about it. So now we're going to go to the cops, because the cops were called on multiple occasions and didn't do nothing either. So this kind of goes back to like with the social workers. Like, why would you listen to the mother and, you know, her little stories she made up because she put on a little cute face like, blah, 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 you know, whatever. Of course she's going to do whatever to try to cover up her tracks and shit. But, like, why didn't you ask to see the kid? Because any human being that's seen the kid would have known. You know what I mean? But the fact that the cops and the social workers just came in and listened to the mom's bullshit and the boyfriend's bullshit, like, why? Why not do your job? Like, and not to be like a fucked up bitch or whatever, but I hope, like, him passing away somewhat haunts them. Like, I hope them, you know, they have to live with themselves after it. Knowing he's dead and they could have done something but didn't, like, I hope it hurts them. I hope they can't sleep at night, to be real. Because they deserve it. That little boy suffered for fucking years and, you know, went through so much pain that people don't even go through in a lifetime. But that little boy endured so much hurt and pain. And at the end of the day, all he did was still love his mom. Okay, we're going to go into the family first before we go into the mom. So, the family. So, the whole situation with the family was, you know, he was living with the uncles. He was happy there. But because they were gay, the grandparents weren't okay with it. So then the grandparents took custody. The next thing you know, the mom wanted custody, knowing she didn't want Gabriel from the first place, and she was an unfit mother from what they said. But yeah, they still let him have her, which fucking drives me insane. This little boy's in a happy place where he's happy, but you're gonna let this homophobic shit come into play, okay? Which started this whole gay thing, because supposedly they beat Gabriel for being gay, basically. Is why their excuse is why they did what they did. And that is like, that blows my mind. That we still have to go through that and deal with that. And people, real life, have to deal with that. But when it comes to like this little boy who didn't even ever come out and say he was gay, but because he acted like it, he paid a price for it. The family would like see him or visit him or whatever, and Gabriel just kept telling them that he, you know, like they would get a black eye or something, and Gabriel told them, like, my mom punched me. And they still didn't do nothing about it. And then Gabriel kept begging to go back with them, and still they didn't do nothing. They knew their daughter wasn't a good mom. They knew she wasn't fit. They knew she didn't want him. But they still let her have him. That doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't you take him away from her when all he wanted to do was be with you? He kept begging you to be with you. And when you asked him, you know, like, what happened to his eye, he said, my mom punched me. And again, you don't do nothing. You just let it be. Let it happen. That shit is crazy to me. Like, your own grandchild is telling you what his mom did to him. And you don't do nothing. You don't even say nothing to her about it. You don't even bring it up to her. Why? You're scared of her too? Lord, people drive me insane. And freaking sane. So let's go to the mom before I close this out. Let's just say, lately some girl had came out and said, like, the mom got beaten up and everything till this day, you know, by the guards and by people that were in prison with her for finding out, you know, what had happened. And praise them for doing that, because Lord knows she needed it. But how can a mother that had 3 kids, okay, be so good to 2 of them, but when it came to the little one, you do all this to it? But not even you. Like, you let your boyfriend do it too. Like, that drives me insane. Like, she deserves to die. I hope she rots in jail and gets beaten up just the way Gabriel suffered, to be honest. But even then, it won't be enough. It won't. Because at the end of the day, like, Gabriel just wanted his mom to love him. Gabriel just wanted, you know, to feel some type of love from his mom. Because at the end of the day, that's all. Like, he loved her endlessly, no matter what she did to him. And that is beyond me. Like, this little boy is so full of love and happiness, and he could still give out love even though his mom and her mom and her boyfriend do this to him. And how do you do this? Like, how do you live with yourself knowing you did this to your little boy? How do you live yourself knowing that you let your boyfriend do this? Like, and like the whole time they were in court and all this, you know, she was like crying, putting the tears on. That's all fake shit. I didn't believe that for a fucking, like, I didn't believe that at all. And her boyfriend too. Like, her boyfriend didn't shed no emotion to anything. And that shit drives me nuts. That's how you know, like, this was a purpose. Like, you're fucking, I think he was like 6'1", 280 pounds or something like that. And you're telling me you beat this little fucking boy to death? Like he was a grown-ass fucking human punching bag? Like, that shit's crazy to me. Like, I hope he fucking gets beat up in prison. I hope somebody kills him. I really do. But then, he got the death penalty, so I hope he feels as much pain as he brought to this little boy. Like, and everybody, like, kept saying, like, oh, he was such a good guy before he met her. He was such a good guy before he met her, like the mom. But you a grown-ass man. Ain't no one gonna tell you to do something. Ain't nobody gonna manipulate you to do something. So, let's be honest. You wanted to do it as much as she wanted you to. It blows my mind. This shit is so heartbreaking. Like, even talking about it right now, like, it makes me want to cry. I'm more mad than anything. But, like, it's crazy to me because so many kids have to deal with this and nobody does anything or knows about it or, you know, whatever. But this little kid cried for help. Like, would tell you what was going on, cried for help, you know, told you he just wanted to be loved. Like, and still nobody did nothing about it. Like, oh, it's unbelievable. This kid's body was screaming for help. This little 8-year-old boy had to deal with so much in his short fucking years. Like, I couldn't even tell you, like, this shit is sad. I hope you watch this video. I hope you go watch The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. And I really want you guys to think. This could be going on anywhere. It could be going on to your next door neighbor, your upstairs, downstairs, you know, your left, right. It could be going on to a kid you see in public. And I really want you guys to think, like, and actually think, like, if you were to see this or hear it or, you know the cops and everybody else weren't doing anything, like, what would you do? Would you take it into your own hands? Would you make it be known that you're there for the kid? Would you, what would you do as a person, as a human? And that's it.